try and explain some of the reasons of the conflict between those supporting Richard and those poor misguided souls who this time in history would be supporting John. Now, to give you a little bit of historical background, in 1193, which I'm sure you've all checked your watches and you realise it is, Richard has, as he will be for most of his reign, been absent for a while. Now, in his immediate defence, this is because Richard has actually finally done what his father promised to do for 50 years and never got round to, which is go on crusade. This at the time was a very popular move, tried to reclaim Jerusalem for Christendom. A lot of people in England were very proud of him. The problem is, a lot of the Crusaders have come home and said, Richard set off before them, and he's not back yet. Now, unfortunately, this means that the youngest brother, I hesitate to call him a person, John, has claimed that he is now the rightful king and Richard's not coming back. Now, there are a few problems with that. One, a lot of Crusaders refuse to believe that Richard's dead. And two, John is the kind of man who couldn't find his own backside with a map, several good advisors and a 20-minute head start. So naturally, there's a bit of a conflict of interest here, and I'm sure my brother-in-law, who is deeply in John's pay, can tell you all about his wonderful features, mostly his wallet.
John can reward those loyal to him. John can care for his barons, for his people. Those who serve John are rewarded, as one who serves a king is rewarded.
Out of interest, can we just backtrack? Those who oppose John, though,
receive the inevitable consequences for defying the natural order of things, the God-given hierarchy of our good earth.
A fantastic answer which glosses over the whole burying people in pits, selling off their wives at auction. I believe when he was 12, lost a chess game to another 12-year-old boy. In response, he broke his face with the chessboard, claimed he cheated and tried to have his father kill him. That is the kind of boy we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. The boy that never grew up and never learnt the word no. Richard is famous for having a bit of a temper on him. John is famous for having a cruel streak 1.5 miles wide. John was briefly put in charge of a section of Ireland. His father thought he could learn to rule there. John, on his, I believe it was 3rd month in the job, met with a delegation of local Irishmen, got himself blind drunk, drew his eating knife and started trying to shave their beards off because he thought they looked funny. At this point, the Norman settlers and the Irish had been at peace for nearly 5 years. War flared up almost immediately, ladies and gentlemen. That is how great a statesman your King John is.
Like the Irish need an excuse for war, they're as bad as the Welsh.
That one I find hard to contest, Adams.
Yes, John has had some eras of serenity. Just like his father, just like his grandfather, just like the conqueror who gave us this wonderful kingdom. However, he is here. He can hold court and hear his barons. Pray tell, how many courts of Richard have you been to within the kingdom?
How many battles have you been to where you saw John on the field and not hiding behind his mother's skirts at the rear? He's very good at shouting, "You boys forward." I've never heard "follow" from John. Richard, on the other hand, is famous for, when at a siege, having to be physically held back by his own knights because he wants to be the first up the wall.
And what duty to a kingdom is a king who tries to get himself killed?
A great example to the rest of us.
There is not war here. There wasn't.
Let's say, brother-in-law, you have very, very short eyes.
There would be peace if you could accept what was happening. The point is, Richard is a commander of armies, a builder and taker of castles. He is a wonderful warrior. He, however, has not held a single court. He has not heard his barons. He is interested only in killing heathens, taking castles, and winding up the Austrians.
Have you met the Austrians? On quite a serious note, I understand the temptation. It is true, Richard is mainly concerned with warfare. However, we rule as a people from the edge of Scotland to the borders of Spain. We have more enemies than I can easily count, and I've sometimes counted to 12. The French are looking for any excuse to seize land, as they have repeatedly done. Under his own father, no one stole anything from Richard. Have you ever met him? You don't take anything from Richard that he doesn't want to give you.
No, I haven't met him. I've never seen the man who is my king.
That's because when they called for crusaders and brave men, you were nowhere to be found.
I have to keep the peace in the kingdom. Someone has to. We can't all go gallivanting off to Jerusalem to save ourselves.
I wasn't just saving myself, I helped save Christendom. There's this man called Saladin. He has this tiny army of about 100,000 threatening to roll over all of Europe.
There is a man named Philip in France who is mustering an army of 50,000 as I speak, threatening to roll all over your and my ancestral lands in Normandy. And you go to Jerusalem. The king goes to Jerusalem. You have come back. Where is the king to defend our land, our homes?
One small point about the King of France. You're right, he's a ruthless man, a horrible man. He's gathering armies. He'll probably try and take all our lands. Last time I saw Philip, he was in the company of his best friend John. I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you from here. Richard is still in the Holy Land for all I know, because Philip abandoned him. Because in Richard's absence, he knows John is a lickspittle who couldn't defend 2 sticks with an army against most of these children. John is an idiot. He is the 5th son, both in order of birth and in order of merit.
And in order of death. There is no Richard here. He's dead. Why can you not accept that?
Because
John
I
is
saw
here
him
and he's
still
our
alive.
king.
He went via Germany. He has enemies in Germany. Men with long memories and no sense of humour.
So your complaint against John is that he has friends. Your complaint, your support of Richard is that he has enemies.
John's friends are all the wrong friends. He is friends with the French. Are you not a Norman? Again, I can't hear you.
The point remains. John, a son of Henry, who himself behaved very similar to our dear Lord.
Henry chewed tables, yes, when he was angry.
Henry chewed people when he was angry.
In his defence, the French again.
Christians nonetheless.
French.
I do not say John is our perfect lord. He's not the perfect king. He is, however, our king. He is here, which has not been seen.
Our king is somewhere between here and the Holy Land. And if I didn't have to come here, batter down this silly little castle stone by stone, and deal with you, a mewling child with a sword, I could have gone and got him by now. They're only Germans.
Then go to the Holy Roman Empire, to the castle where Richard is. Hand over whatever ransom they insist, bankrupt the kingdom yet further from Richard's wars, and see what happens.
Shall I bring back all the letters John's been writing the Germans, asking them never to release Richard while I'm there?
Do you have them on you?
No,
Do you have them here?
they're in Germany. It's full of Germans. You have to buy France. Hey, that's full of French.
You're the worst kind of brother-in-law.
Haven't killed you yet.
The point remains. John is here. You come along making these outrageous claims. Richard lives! Richard stormed the walls of Acre himself, slaying 10,000 heathens. Richard bathed in the blood of the infidel.
He didn't bathe, it was more of a spatter.
Our dear Red King is the devil. He is a warmonger, and he is gone.
He is a warmonger against foreigners and heathens who steal our lands. Yours is a warmonger against women and children who say no. Yours is a man who flies into petulant rages. I would rather, if Richard were dead, we kill John and invite the King of France into England than put that spittle on the throne. He couldn't inspire men to get drunk in a brewery.
John rewards his friends. Loyalty is all that is needed.
Lackeys. John rewards his lackeys. Do you remember when we were children? You were always a little bit smaller, a little bit slower, a little bit weaker, and I used to beat you bloody with a wooden sword. It's not wooden anymore, and we're not playing. Lower your banners, tell everyone that John is a usurper and an idiot, and I'll let you live. Might take a tooth or two, but I'll let you live. You are, after all, my wife's brother. It will make life at home quite difficult for me for a while. Carry on with this stupidity. Follow a king who will lead this country and these people to their deaths, and I swear, I'll put this through you.
Follow your mythical king if you must. My banners stand, as do I. I'm not yielding the walls.
I salute your bravery and note your utter stupidity.
I'll see you on the ramparts, brother.
I'll be the one with the sword. Now, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, most of the allegations going back and forth there are real historical allegations. John did, in fact, piece of local history, the original owner of this castle, a young man called FitzEdward, was playing chess with John when they were 12-year-old boys. He'd beaten John. John decided to clear the board and beat his face with the chessboard. John then later claimed to his father, King Henry, that FitzEdward had started the fight and asked could he kill him. Now, Henry was arguably an interesting king at times, but he didn't go that far. However, John carried on that grudge into adulthood and tried to deny FitzEdward the right to his own ancestral home. This kind of petulance was unfortunately quite common in some kings. In the case of Richard, in 1193, Richard is prisoner in Germany. Unfortunately, there was a little episode in the Holy Land where he possibly had someone killed. There was a friend of some of the Germans. The other thing is, Norman pride is a very difficult thing. When we took the city of Acre, we raised banners on the wall. A German lord, not a king, put his banner at the same height as Richard's. Richard wasn't fond of that. A few of us were encouraged, possibly drunk, to tear the banner down and throw it in the moat. Then there was a certain amount of urine. This particular German lord is currently having a disagreement with Richard, unfortunately in Germany, which is, as previously stated, full of Germans. So unfortunately Richard cannot currently come home. In reality, John was sending letters to the Germans, begging them to keep hold of his brother forever so he could have the throne. Hopefully, if you're all familiar with the tale of Robin Hood, that is the backdrop that you've probably grown up with, the idea of Richard being absent, John slowly taking over the country, and people feeling so moved that they take up arms and try and fight John's supporters. And hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, that'll give you a bit of a backdrop to what's going on here today. For Richard. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.